Welcome back to Education Matters. Did you correctly answer true? According to a national study by Vanderbilt University in 2016, high-scoring white elementary school students were twice as likely to be placed in academically gifted programs as high-scoring black students. In our next segment, we're taking you to Enloe High School in Raleigh to learn more about a new race and equity program led by students. Take a look. Here on Education Matters, we try to take you inside the classroom every week. We're actually literally doing that this week. We're in a classroom at Enloe High School in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are joined by Jordan King. Jordan is a senior here at Enloe, and we have Mr. Jose Espinal. Jose is the assistant principal here at Enloe High School, and actually one of your roles as assistant principal is over equity affairs here in the school. So thank you both for being here. We wanted to talk to you today about a student-led initiative that, Jordan, I know you've been involved with, called Enloe 5, and it's around strategies for teachers and for students of color. So tell me a little bit about what it is.
Okay, so basically the Enloe 5 is one day we had a student team come together and we presented with, I believe, like 16 strategies that Greg Meyer had come up with over years and years of doing equity work. And basically what he wanted us to do was to take these 16 and pick some that we think would, cultivate a better just culture here at Enloe that would help students be more successful in their classrooms. So we chose 5 of them. That's why it's called the Enloe 5. And one of them is visibility. The other is proximity. We have addressing race, connecting to students' lives and their future selves, and checking for understanding. So we believe that all 5 of those it's what we want, because we sat down, about 50 of us, and we just kind of had to be like, okay, what's important to Enloe and what's going to help each and every one of us, be better. Not everyone's going to need all 5 of the strategies. They may just need 2 or 3. But all of the strategies were picked by Enloe students to make Enloe better.
Now, this is a very diverse school. I mean, one of the things we've talked about on the show is that we've seen some growing resegregation of schools, where you have a lot of schools that are becoming more all white or all black. This is actually not like that.
Yeah.
But obviously the students felt like that there were things that, as a student of color yourself, this is something that that thought there were things that could be improved for all students, and particularly with students of color. Explain that a little bit.
Well, here at Enloe, sometimes it kind of feels like there's 2 different schools, that you have, the magnet kids, and they're taking your honors and your AP classes. And then you have students that are staying in standard classes, and those are typically minority students. And we knew that was something that was super, super apparent here. So we just wanted to take strides to fix it, because we can always identify the problem, but actually sitting down and talking about it and trying to change it is what's actually going to help us out in the long run.
That's a great, Mr. Espinal, what she just raised. I wanted to ask you about that, actually. Those of us who, I live here in Wake County, Enloe has a great reputation academically, but what she's referring to is actually, you'll say it's one of the knocks that you hear sometimes, is that Enloe is a school within a school. That, yeah, you've got all this, but the black kids and the white kids and the Asian kids. I mean, is that, I guess, first of all, is that a fair assessment, and sort of what are you working on here to address that?
So is it a fair assessment? I think that our students, through conversations, kind of brought up that they saw there were groups that, if you will, shift together or move together. And I think for us as administrators, one of the things that we always look back at is like the core belief, too, of Wake County, saying, how do we eliminate predictability, right? And that includes students with racial background, socioeconomics. And one of the things that we wanted to do is that we wanted to kind of get student voice, as it's really important in us to kind of like see what their K through 12 experience was. Jordan mentioned using these 12 strategies that that we kind of use with our students, and these are culturally relevant strategies that have worked. And and often you read about these strategies, but we wanted to get a feel for what the students were talking about, and so we wanted to disrupt a little bit of the perception of students not giving us feedback. And so we created a platform where we look for a variety of our students to be a part of our equity team and express their K through 12 experience, good, bad. And it was through these conversations that they spoke about, inequities that they see. And it was through this process that they value voted and what strategies were pertaining to our school. And it was really beautiful because you had students who typically may not have classes together, who might not be, in the same hallway or in the same cafeteria table, just speaking to one another and just kind of gaining some kind of commonality, if you will, about what they need from a teacher, and that's where our Enlo fives kind of come to be.
Now, Jordan, this effort, it sounds great. Also doesn't, to me, sound like a sort of your typical, I don't know, student activity. There's lots of clubs and things that go on. What drew you? This sort of equity and this kind of community building. What was it? Why was this important to you personally?
Well, I joined the group about 2 years ago when they started like the student initiative part of it. And I had done the fall play that year, and it was called We the People. And all the actors that were cast in the play wrote the play. So we covered, racial bias, we covered sexual orientation, we covered everything that goes on here at Enlo, not schools, but just Enlo. And we had to present a couple of pieces to the staff at a staff meeting one day, and we had a talk back session. And we really got to just speak to them about, these are our experiences, and they got to ask us questions about what they thought. And after that, I got an email from Dr. Chavis asking me if I wanted to join Equity. And obviously, I was like, yeah, because I've experienced things that I can now say, oh, that wasn't equity at all. But it's like now it's not just that I can identify problems, it's like I can come up with solutions for them. And I think that that's what drew me to being a part of the equity team. It's just that I'm not just going to sit around and talk about all the things that have gone wrong and the things that I wish I wouldn't have gone through, but it's about having courageous conversations and then affecting change. Like, it's not just about talking about it, it's about doing something too.
How receptive has the teachers been, faculty, to something like this? Are they, because of, in some ways, students like Jordan, we were talking before we started taping, they're kind of ahead of us, of some of us old folks, right?
Yeah.
So, did the teachers recognize that maybe they have some kind of blind spots, things that maybe they weren't aware of? I think about things like visibility, making feel acknowledged, connecting to students' lives. I guess, are they open to sort of saying, okay, maybe I was missing something?
Yeah, so the beauty, I think, in the Enlo 5 is that it was obviously student voice, but it was also a work of teachers working alongside with students. Our teacher equity group, along with our students, worked together to look at these strategies. Obviously, the students led what they thought was important, but it created, again, this like platform of having students and teachers and administrators just have conversations, and kind of eliminate the hierarchy of who's who, and just being able to listen to the student and what they need. And it was really cool to see the teachers just be reflective about practice, right? And having conversations with a student that perhaps they've never had. Like Jordan got to meet, I believe that she worked with a teacher that she didn't know. And it just created this really organic conversation, and where they shared, Jordan would say, well, this one time, this experience made me feel this way. And then just having that teacher reflect, I think, allowed for, I would say, guards to come down. Obviously, we don't ever want to say that our teachers don't know what they're doing, because they obviously have degrees. But I think that when you have ongoing conversations, which I think for me, I think it's the steps to moving forward, it's just being able to have a conversation with your student about what they need, specifically when it comes to these strategies that they learned. And being able to take their information and apply it to their practice every day, it's just really important.
But I do want to ask one last question from you, Jordan, about you're a senior, so you're going to be leaving here. What do you hope that this work sort of leaves behind? What do you want to see it do?
I hope that when I leave, equity here at Enlo isn't like this big idea. It's like, oh my gosh, equity. It's just like something that we do. It's just like, no, we just do equity because that's how school works. And I hope that everyone goes into like the future having like a, there's the saying that you get to be a thermometer or a thermostat. It's like both of them can sense temperature, but only one of them can change it. And I hope that as we go on, people begin to adopt thermostat mindsets, that it's not just identifying the problem, it's about changing the problem and inciting change. So I hope that that's something that just becomes culture here at Enloe.
Well, terrific. It sounds like a wonderful program. I really appreciate both of your time and explaining it to us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks again to Enloe High School and for Wake County Public Schools for welcoming us this week to shoot that episode. After the break, this week's final word.